Welcome back to another week of 360 Sports. Today we're talking all things football, NFL, and college. I'm your host, Harlyn, joined by Aiden, Nick, and Ryan. Okay, guys, there has been so much to unpack in the NCAA as well as NFL. But let's get started on the Colts. They lost for the second time this season. Daniel Jones looked like his old self. Do we think he can come back from this rough performance, or do we think he cannot and it's going to be like this the rest of the season?
Yeah, honestly, I think the Colts have established themselves enough as a good team to where I do think, barring any major injuries, they'll continue to do very well. But they also lost to two arguably pretty good teams in the Steelers and the Rams. But there was one thing in common that I noticed between two of these losses that stood out to me, and that was Jonathan Taylor couldn't get the ball running. He couldn't run with the ball. At the Rams game, he had 17 carries for only 76 yards, no touchdowns. And at the Steelers game, he had 14 carries for 45 yards. So it looks like Jonathan Taylor is more of the key to success for the Colts than it is Danny Dimes himself. Although that being said, I do think Daniel Jones has to work on the turnover issue if they want to continue this and maybe even make a deep playoff run. But I'm not super worried about the Colts, honestly, because they've been playing spectacularly this year. And I don't think anyone could have predicted that.
No, I'm actually slightly worried about the Colts. Because Jonathan Taylor is the engine that makes that team go, and clearly when he doesn't play well, the Colts don't respond well. I mean, Daniel Jones had 5 turnovers. Like, that's not a recipe for success. I mean, their defense played really well, but Daniel Jones is the X factor for this team, and I don't trust Daniel Jones fully. He's played well so far this season, but his track record, he has one good year where he was pretty good, but besides that, he hasn't been spectacular any other years, and he struggled a lot in his career. So I'm really worried about that. But they have a couple of tests coming. They got Falcons, Chiefs, and Texans coming up. So, I mean, the next 3 weeks will be crucial to prove if the Colts are legit or not. But I still don't see that. I still think they can win that division pretty easily.
Yeah, 3 interceptions and 2 fumbles is obviously not pretty. But look, the Colts were 8-9 last year. They're already 7-2 this year. I agree with what you said. I think they've proven themselves as a good team this year. Daniel Jones has proven himself as a good quarterback this year. I mean, he's first in passing yards through 9 weeks now. I mean, if he's first, I mean that speaks for itself. If you're going to be first in passing yards after 9 weeks, you got to be a good quarterback. But yeah, I think this was just a momentary lapse in Daniel Jones' career this year, and I think he'll pick it back up next week.
I kind of agree with Nick. I'm a little worried. I think it's the middle of the season, and you kind of see what teams are going to go far and what teams you can, and what players on teams you can really count on. And with the 3 interceptions, 2 fumbles, I think it showed everyone that you can't really count on Daniel Jones. And he's kind of been hiding away from Tyler Warren as his tight end. He has Jonathan Taylor as his running back. I feel like he's just been throwing the throws he needs to. He's just been calling this, doing the schemes he's been told to. I'm not comparing him to Mahomes or Allen, but when it comes down, you can trust in your quarterback to lead you to a must win, and I don't think they can count on it. So I'm a little worried about this Colts going into the later half of the season.
I can see where you're coming from with that, but I do actually think, the receivers over at Indianapolis are really good. Obviously, you said Tyler Warren, you have Michael Pittman, and I think stuff like that, what you said there, is what is the definition of a game-managing quarterback. I think Daniel Jones is really good at managing the Colts offense, which is making him really, really good at quarterback. So I do think he is a really good scheme fit for the Colts, and that's why I think they can go further. But I can understand the, kind of discrepancy between that and kind of, you're a bit on the fence about it.
Nah, for me, Daniel Jones he doesn't elevate this football team. He just kind of he keeps them going in the right direction. They swim in the right direction with Daniel Jones, but he doesn't elevate them. He's not an elevator. So the Colts they're going to make the playoffs. They're going to win in the division, but I don't think they're a true contender to come out of the AFC.
They're not the answer for this. Daniel Jones is not the answer for this Colts.
I don't think he's a long-term answer.
You're throwing a lot of shade towards Daniel Jones right now. I mean, yes, the best running back in the league is in his backfield. He's got Michael Pittman, who's been a top 10 receiver this year. But he's playing football. Like I already said, he's number 1 in passing yards. He's a good player. I mean, I don't know why. I'm a big fan of him. I mean, I think watch out for the Colts. That's all I'm saying.
Let's go to another crazy game. The Panthers beat the Packers. I don't know if anyone saw that coming. What is your thoughts on that game?
Yeah, well, the Packers aren't playing to their potential at all. And obviously they've had some injuries that have brought them down. Most notably, Tucker Kraft is now out for the season with an ACL injury. And they've lost, they haven't had Jaden Reed the entire season. So while there is the injury argument for the Packers, they are definitely a better team than the Panthers were. So I don't know how this happened. The defense has not been playing as well as I necessarily thought they would. Obviously, it was a low-scoring game, so the defense did their job, but they still lost the game. So I don't know what the Packers do at this point. What scheme changes do they make? How do they respond to this? Because the Panthers are doing pretty well so far, and the Packers, not so much.
I'll tell you what's wrong with the Packers. Jordan Love. I'm so serious. I mean, he holds this team back.
Oh.
Like, Jordan Love played awful yesterday.
You are in love with the quarterback shade.
No, like, I'm just being honest. I mean, Jordan Love did not play good. I mean, did you guys see that fourth down where he threw the ball to the right side of the end zone and he literally threw it to a Panthers player? There was not a player on that side of the screen and the field. I mean, Jordan Love has been the question mark for this team for the past couple years. I mean, yeah, Tucker Kraft, Jaden Reed, they've been hurt, but he still has Matthew Golden, first-round pick. Romeo Dubes, he's a dog. Christian Watson, still a good football player. And we're forgetting about Josh Jacobs as a top 5 running back in this league. He still has weapons. He has plenty of weapons. Like, there can't be any more excuses. The defense, I know they haven't been playing great, but they have a pass rush. Their defense gave up, 16 points? You should win that game every single time. I think they've got a Jordan Love issue.
Yeah. I think the Packers are another great team. Them getting Micah Parsons was obviously huge for them at the beginning of the year. I think their biggest issue, and has been their biggest issue for a while now, is they have good receivers. They don't have a great receiver. They have a bunch of mid receivers.
They have a lot of wide receiver twos.
That's my point there, and I think that their defense played all right. It was the offense that they just couldn't score points, and I think like I said, they have a good. I don't know about top 5 running back. Josh Jacobs is a great running back, though, but I think they're missing a stud. I mean, they're missing a stud receiver, and I think if they could pick one up, they'd have a better offense.
And I think the Packers don't have really room to not win these games that everyone thinks should, because the Vikings and Lions are in the division, and it's always a competitive division, so you have to win these games. So let's move on to college football. I know Saturday the Buckeyes absolutely destroyed the Nittany Lions and showed that they are dominant on both sides of the ball and that they could very well repeat the national championship. But they also have number 2 Indiana ranked right behind them, also in the Big Ten. Do we think Indiana's going to win? Do we think Ohio State's going to win? Is there another team that could win the national championship? What is your thoughts?
Yeah, so when it comes to these Big Ten teams, right? Now, there are only 4 teams I see even making it to the Big Ten championship, and that's Ohio State, Indiana, Michigan, or Oregon. But I think it's going to be Ohio State, Indiana for the Big Ten. Both of them are making the playoffs no matter what. I really don't see a world, barring any major upsets, I don't really see a world where neither of them make the playoffs or only one of them make the playoffs. But when it comes to national championship, it's a difficult conversation to have because you have all these teams like Alabama, very, very strong, Texas A&M, all these teams from different conferences. So we're talking a lot about the Big Ten. Who knows if they're going to win the national title this year? Me, by the way. It's Indiana. I think Indiana actually takes the national title. And is that because I hate Ohio State? Maybe a little bit. But I think Indiana has more grit. I think they're going to just want it more. And I think Kurt Cignetti is the coach of the year for that because he's clearly getting his boys riled up and they're going on a tear right now. They're one of the most, if not the most dangerous teams in college football. They're just really, really good, flat out. And so I genuinely do think they have a legitimate shot to win the national title this year.
Yeah, I really think Indiana is a very good football team, but I think it's Ohio State for me. It pains me to say that, but they're the clear favorite until proven otherwise. I mean, you can say all you want about Indiana, but Julian Sayin is balling out at the moment. I mean, he's the current betting favorite to win the Heisman. And, I mean, Jeremiah Smith, Cardell Tate. Tate might be a top 10 pick. I mean, the Buckeyes can do it on both sides of the ball. And the way their offense is playing, I don't really see anybody stopping them. And until someone proves me otherwise, I don't think we should go anywhere but Ohio State.
Yeah, for me, it's Indiana. I mean, Indiana has unstoppable momentum right now. Quarterback Fernando Mendoza, my favorite player in college football. He is fantastic, playing at a Heisman level. Right now, again, leading the number 2 ranked team in the nation. He's been incredible all year, and I don't think anyone's been able to stop him.
Again, I'm going with Nick. I think, as much as I hate to say it, I think Ohio State is a clear favorite. Yes, Penn State put up 14 points in the first half, the most they've ever given up in the season, but they adjusted at half, and that's what great teams do. And then Penn State was could not do anything that second half. And I think what you were saying about Julian Saint, I think he should win the Heisman. He has, a lot of these quarterbacks in college feel like they have to make the plays themselves. We saw Drew Aller get hurt when he had a run to get that first down. We saw Bo Prabula do the same thing. Julian Saint has 30 rushing yards on the whole season. He can stay in the pocket and just play catch with his key wide receivers, and I think that's what makes a good national championship team, is where you're not worried about if your quarterback's getting hurt. He's just throwing it and keep playing, and they have proven that they are really good on both sides of the ball. But I think the Big Ten championship is Indiana Ohio State. So you think Indiana's going to beat Ohio State?
Look, I do. I guess my question, if he ever has to run, I mean, do you feel comfortable with him running? Could that ever come back to haunt him?
He's never going to have to run that much. I mean,
true. When you have Jeremiah Smith and Tate,
Right.
the best receivers in the country.
Hey, just something I'm bringing up, that if he ever has to run, I'd rather Mendoza running the ball than I'd rather Mendoza running the ball than.
It all comes back to Fernando Mendoza.
I think Mendoza, if this is a Big Ten championship, I think Mendoza's going to get a lot of pressure from Ohio State and get sacked a couple of times. I can just see them. I think Indiana, they went into Oregon, had that big win. Ohio State's had a couple big wins, but I think it'd be one of the games of the year for sure.
I mean, also, Indiana's going to have to beat Ohio State twice. Barring an upset, they're going to they might have to beat them twice, because, I mean, if you want to win the national championship, you're going to have to probably beat Ohio State or someone from the SEC, like a Georgia, Ole Miss, Texas A&M. So I don't know if Indiana has 2 wins like that in their back pocket. I mean, if they could lose the Big Ten championship and go on a run in the college football playoffs, but I don't know. I would trust Ohio State more, because they literally did it just last season. They're experienced, and I think they're ready to go.
So now let's switch back to the NFL. Yesterday we saw the Jaguars kicker, Cam Little, not so little, kicked an NFL record field goal, 68 yards. That record was broken after 4 years of it being held. And we saw today that this season that they allowed their teams to prep kickers' ball before the game. Mm-hmm. And now we're seeing a lot more kickers attempt those 60-plus yards field goal. Do you like this rule? How do you feel about that? How do you feel about kickers in general?
I got to be real. I really love that this record was broken, and I love that it was by Cam Little. Of all kickers, of all the great kickers in the league, it was by Cam Little, who most people didn't necessarily have on that radar of they could break the record. Most people had it as Brandon Aubrey, which makes a lot of sense. But I'm a little bit skeptical about this rule, because I do think in a few years kickers will be able to consistently hit 70-plus yarders, and I do think that if that is the case, the NFL will make a push to actually get rid of this rule so that punting can continue to be utilized, because if you can just kick field goals from more than halfway across the football field all the time, there's not a lot of stakes to it then. You only have to really make it to the 45, for example, and then you can kick a field goal and you're good, and your drive ends with points. So I don't know about that, but that being said, you still have to think about the nerves that kickers go through every game. So I do think that'll be the main thing keeping them from hitting 65-plus yarders pretty consistently, is how many nerves they have, kicking game winners or even just big field goals in general, because doing it in a game is a lot different from doing it in practice, right, or even in Cam Little's case, hitting a 70-yarder in the preseason.
Yeah, I wasn't shocked when Cam Little did that. He did 70 in the preseason with room, and that 68-yarder had room. I think he would have had that from 70, but I actually really like the rule of kickers being able to break in balls throughout the week, because I think field goals are actually on the decline. Now with analytics, teams are going for it more on 4th down, because you get a 4th and 4, on the other team, and you're a little outside the red zone. You're not going to want to kick the field. You want to go score touchdowns. And I think the NFL is moving towards going for it more on 4th down. We're seeing more aggressive coaching. So I think this rule is actually better, because coaches are going to trust their kickers more, and they're going to use their kickers when we're, instead of punting the ball from the 45, we're going to see like a 62-yard attempt, 63-yard attempt, which is more fun. We know the NFL, it's the no fun league, but offense sells tickets. Nobody defense wins championships, offense sells tickets. So this rule is perfect, because you're going to get more scoring. We're in a social media era. That kick is all over social media. That is exactly what the NFL wanted when they implemented a rule like this, because now we're going to see kickers line up for 70-yard attempts, at the end of half, and as much as it might not affect the game, it's really cool to see them happen. And plus, kickers get a lot of hate too. if your ball's broken a little bit better, I feel like you're making more kicks and less kickers are getting fired, so that might be a good thing.
Yeah, I love the new rule as well. I think seeing 70, 72. I don't want to get too crazy,
Let's
but
get to 70 first.
in the future, I love it. I mean, I think that kicking from that far is awesome. But you look at a team like the Detroit Lions, and you kind of said it. They go for it a lot more, and this may open the door for more longer field goals, which
Dan
are cool.
Campbell hates his kicker. They go for it so much.
R.I.P. Jake Bates.
But I think it was cool, like you were saying, how if the team's at their 45, 50-yard line, it gives them another option to either if they can kick it. And I think it's really cool seeing literally Sunday, there were so many close games that kind of were decided by a field goal. And I feel like a lot of pressure is on the kickers. Like sometimes that game winning, you have to make it. And I think if they just keep doing it, and it was really nice seeing someone Little, again, break it, because it was Justin Tucker held it before. And everyone knows Justin Tucker. It was the go-to kicker. With the Ravens, he did really well. But now that he's out of the league, it's really cool seeing these names. I didn't know. I feel like people didn't know who Little was unless you're a Jacksonville Jaguars fan. And so it was really cool seeing him now his name's going to be in the NFL Hall of Fame, all that stuff.
I mean, Tucker's bounced through the off the crossbar, right? And I mean,
Yeah,
Little made it with.
it barely had any room.
Yeah.
So the
But
fact that Cam Little's cleared it easily was also extremely impressive.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a leg on him, He's got a boot.
Yeah.
He's got a boot.
Yeah.
So now that we're talking about all football, we're merging college and professional NFL. Let's talk about the middle ground, the NFL draft. So we're gonna go. This is our board segment. We've had both people on each side of the ball do really well this season. I want to see who you think is going to be the first player off the board in April. I think Nick, Ryan, and Aiden.
Yeah, I'm up first here. For me, my first overall pick is going to be none other than Ty Simpson. I mean, he's been balling out this year. He's got 20 touchdowns or so throughout the year right now. He's only got one interception. He's playing efficient. Bama's 7-1. They struggled to start the year. Then a bad loss to Florida State. Now they're rolling. I mean, the guy can sling the rock, and he's number 5, I think, on Mel Kiper's big board, and he's the current odds-on favorite to go number 1 right now. But I really think a team like the Saints, even the Browns, could look at him, that you need a quarterback, and I think he's probably the best one come out of this class. I mean, he can sling the ball, and he's not a big guy, so he's going to rely on his arm. It kind of reminds me more of a bigger Bryce Young, but he can sling the ball, and I think he's in position for that number 1 overall pick. Barring what happens in the next couple games for him, I don't see how he's not a candidate, and he's my number 1 overall pick.
He's a dog. Yeah, I mean, Ty Simpson is a dog, so I do respect that pick.
I don't think you can go wrong with any of the top 3 quarterbacks.
Oh,
but
no.
No.
All right,
my
so
guy.
here's my pick. I was glazing him a little earlier today, but Fernando Mendoza is my guy. Currently the quarterback of a top 5 Indiana team, currently ranked number 2. I really like him as a person. I like him as a player. He's mobile. He's got a good arm. His TD interception ratio was 25-4. He had a 5-touchdown performance against Illinois. I can't say enough about this guy. I'm so happy he's coming to Penn State, and I get to watch him this upcoming weekend. I'm so excited. I love him as a person, love him as a player, and I think he's going to be the number 1 overall pick in the draft.
I'm shocked by this pick. Wow.
Yeah, he hasn't been saying it all show,
Yeah.
Well, I gotta say, my pick for this one is, and I do hate to say it, it will have to be Dante Moore from the Oregon Ducks. Now, Dante Moore is actually just a really good quarterback. He's a really good improvisational quarterback, someone of the sort kind of like Patrick Mahomes, where he mostly passes, but if you need him to get a big first down, he can use his legs. He's got quick speed with it. I do think the Saints will have the number 1 overall pick, so the question becomes, is he going to do well in the NFL, especially in an organization like the Saints, which is not necessarily the best organization to go to right now? And are the Saints really going to move on from Rattler and Shuck that quickly? Personally, I do think so, because Dante Moore is just that good. So I do think he will be the first quarterback and the first player off the board in the 2026 NFL Draft.
I think easily Saints need a new quarterback, and it could very much be him.
I don't think it's Dante Moore, though. He reminds me more of a Russell Wilson. I think he's going to slide in drafts.
Hey, I like Dante Moore as a player. I think it was a great pick. If somebody took my boy Mendoza, that's where I would have went. So
my pick, I did this a little differently. not a quarterback, and I don't think he'll be taken first. That's usually quarterback. But my pick is Ruben Bain Jr., the Miami edge rusher. And he is 6'3", 275 pounds. He is a big guy. I know his stats don't look great this season with only 2 sacks and 1 interception. But what his stats don't show is that he's applying pressure every single play. He's making an impact every single play. He's had 10 pressures in one singular game earlier in the season. He has proven that he can go one-on-one with the tackles and win and sack that quarterback. I think he's going to be perfect. Okay, Jets are going to have a top 3 pick. Their season's done. And I can see him perfectly doing that. The Jets are in the AFC East with quarterbacks like Drake May and Josh Allen. And if they can rely on someone like him putting pressure in that backfield, and then he's great on the ground too against those running backs, if they can rely on him, I think that will help the Jets win in those must-win divisional games. And I know he's had a couple injuries, especially in his sophomore season. And I know the Jets play on MetLife, and that can be prone to injuries, but I think if they keep him healthy, he'd be a great addition to this team. And yeah.
I actually don't think the Jets need a guy like that. You have a guy like they have Quinnen Williams and Jeremiah Johnson off the edge. I mean, I think the Jets have more issues than the defensive line, but
that's fair.
So tomorrow marks the trade deadline in the NFL, and we've seen earlier today that teams like the Dolphins have already dealt pass rusher Jalen Phillips to the Eagles this morning. What players do you think will be dealt before tomorrow's deadline?
3 names come to mind to me right away. Trey Hendrickson, Minkah Fitzpatrick, and a little bit of a dark horse pick, but Nick Chubb. Hendrickson is on a bad Bengals defense. Their season is practically over. The Bengals could use this and use it as capital to build for the future. I think Fitzpatrick has generated a lot of speculation, but I'm not 100% sure where he would go, but I feel like the Bills would be able to utilize him the best. And Nick Chubb, I feel like Nick Chubb to the Cardinals actually makes a lot of sense.
Wow.
Because the Cardinals have lost both of their running backs this year. Nick Chubb will have an opportunity to be the main guy again, and I think he could try and use that to be his old self like he used to be on the Browns.
I actually don't mind that Nick Chubb. I had a couple of running backs in mind. I was thinking Tony Pollard, Breece Hall, 2 guys who could be on the move. Breece Hall, you could probably get like almost a second-round pick, I think, for them, and the Jets badly need some draft capital and kind of bring in some new players. So I could see something like that. You know, the Titans dump a salary for Tony Pollard. And I like 2 guys off the edge as well. Kayvon Thibodeau for the Giants. He's on an expiring contract. Could see him moved for probably like a 4th-round pick. And then Bradley Chubb with the Dolphins as well. Someone I'm looking at too. The Dolphins, they just traded Jalen Phillips to the Eagles, and they're probably they need some more draft capital. They got to get younger, got to get new guys in there, and I think a team looking for some pass rush help could use Bradley Chubb.
Yeah, you took my guy. You took my pick. I was going Bradley Chubb. 49ers suffered another injury on the defensive line with rookie Michael Williams getting injured. So I think Bradley Chubb could be on the move to the 49ers. They're looking for some more defensive line help. And as you said, Trey Hendrickson and Logan Wilson also can be moved to maybe make some more room for the Bengals. And obviously, as an Eagles fan, I'm happy with the whole Jalen Phillips trade to the Eagles. I'm excited for that.
Oh, wait, I'm going to stay with the Dolphins, and I have a complete shot in the dark. I think the Dolphins, they just fired their GM, so the whole organization's kind of at what are we doing, maybe rebuilding here in the next couple of years. I think you trade Jalen Waddell. I think, I know.
He's having a good year.
He's like, it's not, like he has so much more potential, and Tua medically retire, you're done. And wide receivers, like, bank on having a good quarterback to throw to them, and I just don't think 2 is it for Jalen Waddle. And the Miami Dolphins have said they've thought about it, and they need a first-rounder plus more for this. And I'm saying give it, I think people could. And you mentioned the Bills, and I think Buffalo Bills are kind of hunting for another wide receiver like Stephon Diggs. So I could kind of see that happening. I know, complete shot in the dark, but I feel like that's just like the piece Buffalo needs to actually win the AFC Championship for once and go to the Super Bowl.
I actually don't hate it.
Yeah,
honestly, you're right, a shot in the dark, but I don't hate it.
Can I tell you why Jalen Waddle's not going to get traded? Because they've been talking about Quinn Ewers getting some reps soon, and Tyreek Hill he had that knee injury a couple weeks ago.
He's done.
I mean, he's talked about retiring early. He might even retire at the end of this year. So I don't see why that they would move on from Jalen Waddle and leave a rookie with basically no playmakers. But I mean, other wide receivers you can look at are like Jacoby Myers from the Raiders, who might get moved, Rashid Shaheed from the Saints, and Chris Olave, 2 other guys who could get moved at receiver. Somebody like the Steelers could use another weapon on that offensive side of the ball, and somebody like the Bills too. But yeah.
Yeah.
I have seen Saints the Olave thrown around. I think that could be the next step.
He's another guy who's
I don't think
medically
Olave goes, though. I think it's
questionable,
Shaheed.
medically questionable.
I think Shaheed goes, if anybody.
anything? Fair
enough.
Yeah, before Olave.
So now let's do a quick Monday Night Football preview. The Cardinals travel to Dallas to play the Cowboys. Jacoby Brissett is starting because Kyler Murray is still out with a foot injury. Who do you think is going to win? Any score predictions? Who's going to have a night? Who should we watch out for?
I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Cowboys defense has given up a lot of points so far, and I don't think that stops today. I think it's a high-scoring game, but it's not like up in the 40s. I want to say maybe like a game 30, 35-ish point range, but I do think the Cardinals actually take this one. I do really like the Cardinals offense compared to this Cowboys defense. I think they have a lot of firepower under them.
You have way too much faith in Jacoby Brissett.
Way too much.
He was a stud back in the day, all right?
He was a stud for about 4 games maybe back in the day. But, no, I'm going to go with the Cowboys on this one. I mean, yeah, their defense has been playing well, but, I mean, look at the playmakers that they have. CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, Javonte Williams having a revival out in Jerry World, and then Jake Ferguson's been a beast all year. I don't really see the Cardinals' defense really stepping up. I mean, the Cardinals, their defense has been okay. I mean, they have Walter Nolan making the first-round pick, making his debut tonight. Might help against the run, but they don't really have much going for them. And the whole Kyler Murray thing is really weird because they said he's available tonight, but he's not starting. So I don't really see what's the whole point of that is. And Jacoby Brissett is just not good, and they have no running backs. And Marvin Harrison has not really been what we thought Marvin Harrison was going to be.
He had so much potential, and it's
no, it's still there. It's just he hasn't really been able to like kind of hit a stride. He's just every week it's like Marvin Harrison's bound to go off and doesn't go off. He's, he was so highly touted out of college, and he just kind of hasn't really developed into that wide receiver one we thought that was going to happen right away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Cowboys' defense is atrocious. Their offense has been phenomenal. I mean, totally opposite ends of the spectrum. I say watch out for the CeeDee Lamb Dak Prescott connection tonight. I think it's watch out. If CeeDee puts up 3 touchdowns tonight, hey, bold take, but watch out. I think the Cowboys are going to take this one. I mean, obviously the Cardinals don't have a running back, and that's going to hurt them there. Backup quarterback coming in. Cowboys defense, Trayvon Diggs is out. Their defense has been terrible in general. I'm thinking maybe a 37-30 win for the Cowboys here tonight. Close game, though.
I think it's definitely be a high-scoring game. I can almost see it mirroring Bengals-Bears just because both teams are so bad that they don't have a defense that's just really good scoring games. I think that CeeDee Lamb, but I also think George Pickens is going to have a night. I'm personally hoping for him because he's on my fantasy. Need him to win.
I have CD too, so there's a bias there.
But I think Dallas secondary is really missing Trevon Diggs, and I think Arizona's going to really hone in on that, and that's where they're going to get a majority of their points.
Yeah, it's a night for Marvin Harrison to prove why he was a first-round pick and why everybody was so high on him.
And you know who's going to throw in the ball? Jacoby Brissett.
I
do think Jacoby Brissett needs the insanity run this year.
Let's run some Wildcat with Marvin Harrison. I some Rashee Rice Chiefs like Wildcat there.
Nah, that's not going to work.
But Kyler Murray also hasn't been looking good this season, so it's both kind of like both are bad quarterbacks.
I wouldn't say
Josh
Murray's a bad
Rosen
quarter. No, I would say Kyler Murray's not bad though. I think he needs a fresh start. I think a little divorce in the offseason would go well for Kyler Murray.
Honestly, probably. I do think his time in Arizona's coming up.
Yeah.
So there's all our things about football, NFL, and college. I'm your host, Harlyn, joined with Aiden, Nick, and Ryan. Thank you for joining. We'll see you tomorrow.